China strikes back, slaps 34% tariffs on U.S. goods after Trump's Liberation Day. The trade wars, they have begun. In this article by Tyler Durden out of Zero Hedge, U.S. equities took another leg lower. The VIX spiked to 36. Treasury yields slipped. U.S. Treasuries 10-year down to 4%. Crypto tumbled and the dollar reserve reversed its European session gains just after 6 p.m. China to impose additional 34% tariffs on all imported U.S. products starting April 10th. The official Xinhua news agencies reports. People, the world is splitting up. It's going into, kind of a low to middle level conflict right now. And this is just all part of a bigger thing. Today, I want to read you more than just one article today. And I want to talk, what does this mean? Because you got China's upset now. We put our tariffs on them, and now they're fighting back. They're trying to, pressure us on taking them off, right? What is going on? Why? I mean, I get, the U.S. economy wants, to rebuild itself and all that. You have more money coming in, and China's like, whoa. If you put these tariffs on us, we're not going to be able to, afford to pay this so that we can send the stuff over there. We're going to lose a lot. So we have to make up for it by charging you on all the stuff that gets sent over here. But here's the problem. China doesn't need nearly as much stuff from us. Really what they need is materials more than anything, because they're so big. They're a behemoth of a country. I mean, over 1 billion people. It's not a problem of making stuff for them. It's a problem of getting the stuff so that they can make everything, right? That's China's real issue. And they have for years, I think it's kind of cool what they do. They stockpile stuff, right? We don't do this really so much because we have it all here. It's just, it's in the ground. Just go get it if you need it. But over in China, they'll buy years of supply of like copper or other metals, sometimes foods, and keep it on hand because they want to get cheaper prices when the markets are low, etc. And, the big thing is that China has a huge power, and it's their economy. They just can do so much. They have so many people, and trying to understand we couldn't even go fight them if we wanted to. The repercussions would be huge. I mean, most of our medical supplies come out of China. Most of all of our things that are manufactured, like our tools, etc. And even our machinery. It all comes out of China. Our grid equipment comes out of China. If you tried to, attack China for some reason, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So it's like, why would you even want to do that? Why would you want to attack China? Well, if China, for whatever reason, decided to start expanding, which maybe they need to, maybe they don't, then you'd have to go and you'd have to, retaliate in some scenarios. Like, let's say they wanted to take over Taiwan. Well, we would want to stop them because Taiwan has the chip manufacturing, right? We want those chips because they're cheap. And if someone like China got a hold of controlling the chips for pretty much the whole world, because I think like 80-something% of all chips are made out of Taiwan, you would have an extreme leverage point on the global stage, right? And you'd be able to really push your weight around as far as what you wanted as a country, because you have one of the most sought after commodities or, products. So the U.S. perspective is we got to stop them from taking that stuff, the chips. That's one thing. And there's other little small areas around, the Asian countries that they probably would like to have control over. They keep expanding out into the ocean. They want, I think, a really big thing that they want is to somehow become the global reserve currency to establish as the number one in the world, right? They got their social credit score system. So, maybe as the U.S. looks at this, they're like, okay, we gotta try and, get as much leverage against China as we can so that they don't assume, the dominant position in the world. So what are some of the ways that you would do that? Well, what the U.S. does is promise defense of Taiwan. If they invade Taiwan, then they're going to destroy the chip factories immediately. It's kind of like a jealous girlfriend thing. If I can't have you, nobody can have you, and then they just destroy it, and then everyone in the world suffers for it, right? And so it's kind of a way to just stop them. Now, the next big component of all of this is, like, why are they interested in Iran, right? This is another piece of the puzzle. Here's another article via the Cradle, and it's Russia warns against U.S. strikes on Iran nuclear sites, catastrophic and illegal. The Russian Foreign Ministry warned on Thursday that U.S. threats to attack against Iran acceptable and could result in a catastrophe. The use of military force by Iran's opponents in the context of the settlement is illegal and unacceptable. Threats from outside to bomb Iran's nuclear infrastructure facilities will inevitably lead to an irreversible global catastrophe, right? So why would the U.S. want to attack Iran, right? Why? Like, what has Iran done to us? Okay. They back military militias or like mercenaries to go and attack, things like the Strait of Hormuz or the inlet between, Yemen and Saudi Arabia, the Houthis, etc., to disrupt trade. Think of this. Iran and China are like this. They are tight together. Why are they tight together? What is Iran known for? Iran is one of the largest oil producers in the world. And not just an oil producer, they produce some of the highest grade oil. It's almost ready to use straight out of the ground. So there's other countries that produce more oil, but theirs is high quality. So they produce about 3.9 billion barrels a day. And China consumes 16 billion barrels a day. Now, China buys 90% of Iran's oil. So when you think of Iran, think China. Iran's oil is basically all China's oil, right? On top of that, Iran, the big secret is they have a nuclear program, right? They are the resistant force in the Middle East that is essentially superpower because they have the nukes, right? And they want to take over the trade routes. Think of this. China wants to be the number one in the world. They want the reserve currency. So they need to take control of the trade routes. They need to have the largest navy to enforce trade. And they need to get a hold of key products in the world, right? So the U.S. maybe is probably sitting here thinking, what if we take over Iran so that we have a huge leverage point over China on all the oil because like 3 billion a day out of their 16, that's a big problem for China, who's a manufacturing country. That'll cause all the good prices to go up because they'll have much less energy to produce things. And you could force China into buying oil from someone else, maybe the U.S. Also, Ukraine, they're a big natural gas oil producer. We seem to be over there to try and control the, flow of oil. And then Russia wants to, get a hold of those pipelines, and they want to control the port through the Black Sea across from, Istanbul, Constantinople, that area. That, this stuff is all connected. It's all about the U.S. holding on to its reserve currency power and its control over the trade routes. China wants to now be the person who is the reserve currency and control of trade routes. So looking at all this stuff, you have to put it together and go, what is happening? This is a slow build up. It's a big chess game, and it's about getting into the dominant positions, right? Holding the controls and levers over power. So this stuff is going to build, and it's going to lead towards more conflicts. So what you really have to consider is this is heavily based around trade and reserve currency status. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a bifurcating, and we as individuals need to prepare and realize economically things will get tough for us, right? Even if we get the manufacturing back, which will take years, maybe, we have to get a hold of all of our necessities and own them up ahead of time. You've got to, don't worry about the housing so much, worry about food and computers and materials, owning those things. And if you can be someone who produces this stuff, you do very well. So that's my talk for today. It's April 4th, 2025. Thanks.